everyone, how are you today? So thank you for joining yours truly, Regina. So I thought that I would do a little video for you guys while I'm driving. So a lot of people are homeless or getting into a home or planning on buying or planning on renting, because now that COVID is over, a lot of things is changing. So a lot of landlords are going through a couple of issues where they have been unable to evict people during COVID. So now they're processing paperwork and stuff to start the eviction. Some of you are private landlords and you're like, oh, I don't really know how to do it. I just started, I just rented my house. I'm planning on moving back, or I don't want to renew the person's lease. Whatever your situation is, I'm here to help you out. I'm also going to tell you some disturbing news when it comes to evicting a person from a unit and how the courts could be involved. Not intentionally, I don't think, but they will find out information and choose not to do anything about it. So, now that the evictions have been lifted, working in the community, I have found that a lot of people are facing eviction. A lot of people thought during COVID that they did not have to pay for their rent, or they figure, oh, I don't pay my rent, I'll be all right, they can't evict me. Not knowing that, yes, sooner or later it was going to be lived and you will be evicted. So that's where people are now. They are realizing that now that the eviction process is up and running, and landlords can now process and apply to evict you. So in the state of Delaware, where I live, they call it tenant friendly. Now, there are several states that are tenant friendly. That means that they allow tenants to really pretty much use and abuse the landlords. But I think that's more of a government problem, or whoever dictates the laws and order around here, because I have watched a lot of stuff. So, for example, as many of you know, I interact with private landlords and people that are looking for places to live. So we interact with a few private landlords, and now some of them are facing the process where they're evicting the people that live in the units. Never a good thing, never a happy day for anybody. So I'm just going to use this one example it's a real case, but I'm going to change the names and just change stuff around. So the tenant moves in. Let's say they moved in June of last year, which is still right when COVID is going down. They decide, okay, I'm going to pay my rent, but I'm going to pay it when I want to. So this particular tenant decided that they would choose when they would pay their landlord. So sometimes, say their rent was due on the 1st of the month, they might not pay it until the 30th of the month. So they would go paying nothing until the 30th because they know another month is coming in. Some of you might be saying, well, yeah, a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, but that's not correct. So a lot of people will say, okay, well, at least they paid it. But then you have incentives. A lot of programs or landlords or apartments, they have it where they call on-time renters. So if you pay your rent on time, you can get like a discount. So a lot of tenants were like, yeah, I'm late, but I still want my discount. Now for our program, most of the time, the discount is $100 a month. So like, say your rent is due on the 1st and your contract said that your rent was $1,200. If you pay it on time, you get a $100 discount. So that means that your rent will be $1,100. So these tenants were abusing it, or they would skip a month and wait for a program to pay for the rent. So they'll go apply for like First State. They'll go to like Janesville and Bill and Milford State Service. What else is out there? The rental programs. And the rental programs, what people don't understand is they do not pay your rent right then and there. They do not. It takes time. It can take anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months before they pay your rent. So in the meantime, you're thinking, or you're knowing that you got approved, and you're like, okay, well, the landlord's going to get the money. Whenever they get it, because it doesn't bother you. You don't really care. So you don't pay anything because you're waiting for that company to pay. Now, in the meantime, you're probably getting late fees. You lost your discount. Well, some of these tenants were like, no, if a company says that they're going to pay it, then I shouldn't lose any of that. Well, the company hasn't paid it. So technically, no, you don't get the discounts and all, because they have not received the money. Until that money is physically given to the company, your account has not been paid for. It's just like a gas bill for people to use, like, oh my goodness, Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities pays your gas or your electric, but until that electric or gas company get that bill money, your bills are still due, and you still do incur the late fees, and you still could get disconnected. It's up to them not to disconnect you. And that's if the company sends a promise letter. Some companies do, some companies don't. So, being a landlord, manager, whatever you want to call them, I have started to really surf through the landlord tenant handbook and just getting ideas of what goes on and what's allowed, what's not allowed. So I want to, me and my girlfriend, we are interacting together. She has so many units, and I've been assisting her, and I've been assisting with ones that I'm in charge of. So we went to JP Court 16 at 414 Federal Street, Suite 173, Dover, Delaware. And she was telling me she was following eviction. I said, okay, great. So I was like, I'm going to do it too. Because we're not renewing the lease at the unit where we're at. So what we do is we send the tenant a notice telling them that we're not renewing their lease. Some tenants will say, okay, we're not getting a release renew. We know why we're not getting a renew. We're just going to move out. And then you have those other tenants that are like, what they call holdovers. No, I'm not leaving. So our tenant was trying to be smart to us by saying, well, we're not moving out because it's hard to find our apartment. And I'm like, okay, well, you were told in February. So it was like, well, we're not moving out. The waiting list for some places like a year. So we had to do our application. So here's the thing with the court, JP Court. JP Court has changed a lot of things. The last time I did eviction was probably in 2008, I want to say. So it's been a long time. So they have changed it to now, before you do eviction, they want you to go through mediation. So they give you this court system, this paperwork or whatever, and then you submit your application. Now, if it's two people on the application, or two people, like say it has Kelly and Sam, you actually have to make 4 copies, even though not one of those copies come to you. So you're making 4 copies, and they all go to the court, and the court sends them out. So even though Kelly and Sam live in the same house, they both get their own page, their own paperwork. So they're both served. That makes sense, right? Because if they just serve Kelly, the Sam be like, well, I still get to live there. So I got that part. Before it wasn't like that. And if it was, when I did eviction, it didn't go that way for us. So then they have you go through, they tell you, the courts are going to tell you, like for us, they told me and my friend, it's 30 days. We're not behind. Within 30 days, y'all will have court. That's not true either. So it wound up being almost 60 days that we got scheduled. And we had to go back and forth, me and her, like 4 times to the court because there was so much stuff that was just unorganized on the court behalf. Because they had people there that didn't know what they were talking about. They were telling you the wrong information. It was just horrible. And the lady explained, one of the excuses was the clerk made was that there's all kind of new people there, and she was like, some people are not telling the right information, just like she used the police officers and legal aid not telling people correct information. Neither is the court. None of y'all are, really. It's like all over the place. So anyway, we finally got our paperwork submitted, me and her. So she asked me about mediation. I said to her, I don't know much about mediation. I said, but let me see what I can find out about it. So I went ahead and I got my paperwork and I signed up for it. Now, I don't have it with me because I'm driving. So if you're a landlord or a tenant, it doesn't matter which one you are that's It's something both of you need to know. The court has a glitch, or it's not secure enough, in my opinion, where you can, or they will have it where one person can fill out all the information and pretty much pretend like they're you. So, for example, my person filled out paperwork on my behalf. They put my name, they put my address, they did everything for me. Did a complaint letter, all of it for me. But they did one little thing was wrong. They even used my phone number. They put, when it comes, you got to sign, they signed their own name. That's how we found out who it was that did it. So I said to the court, I was like, how did they, or how were they able to do all this underneath my name? I said, I want to know, how were they able to do all of this underneath my name? I mean, look at it. I was like, that's my name clearly. She said, correct. My address, right? Yes. I said, this is supposed to be a statement that I wrote. This is not mine. She said, correct. I said, but when they signed their name. She was like, well, maybe they weren't. She was like, I don't know. Okay. I said, well, how were they able to do that? Oh, I don't know. This is the first time this has ever happened. I said, but you have a recorded statement, a legal statement that says it's from me to you, and it's not. I said, that's not my email address. So the way she set it up, the lady that did it, she had it where all the court documentations would never ever come to our organization or our company or the other landlords. She had it where it was all being sent to her personal email address so she can watch and monitor the case. If, like, say the court wants you to provide more information, I would never know, she would never know, because we would never got the information because of the way they set it up. So I asked the lady, I was like, well, how is this beneficial to people? I said, this doesn't make sense. How is this beneficial? I said, because this is mediation. But I said, it's just like child support. When you have a child support case, the mother has the information, the father has the information. But the father cannot submit any documentations or anything else on the mother's behalf because they each have their own personal password and PIN to do it. I said, but that's not the way y'all have it set up. I said, so that means anybody can just come in and write a statement. Say it was a criminal charge. And I was going to court with Kim and Steve. And Steve was like, I want her to dismiss the charges. All they got to do is write a letter on my behalf that says I want to dismiss the charges and be able to dismiss it through the mediation part of Court 16, because the way it is, it was so easy for this person to just write and fill out all this information. All she had to do was put my information in and they accepted it. And it was just like I wrote it. So I've been going back and forth with Court 16 about that, and I'm waiting on them to respond. Because I actually had to contact them 5 times, including write it up there, and for them to pull it and look at it and realize, because at first I didn't know who had did it, because I didn't see that part, but they can actually see, because where you sign the signature, they didn't sign my signature, they signed their own. They wrote their own personal name. And sometimes I think people might do that because they're so used to writing their own name that they don't think, oh shoot, I'm filling this information out on behalf of this person, I need to sign their name. So it was just a mixed calculation for them at the time. So I said to them, I said, well, what is the legal procedure, or what's going to happen for someone doing that? She didn't answer, she didn't respond. And I said to her, I said, this is crazy. I said, the way y'all have all this stuff set up, I said, and it's not even good. I said, because anybody can fill out anything on anybody and request a dismissal, make a statement on their behalf, and it doesn't even have to be true or correct. And I said, you're going to accept it because your system is set up this way. I said, I think during COVID, y'all just made stuff and set up stuff and then test it to check to see how accurate it is and is it safe. So then she throws at me, the clerk does, oh, well, here's the thing. I said, what's that? All cases are public knowledge. I said, yes, okay. All cases are public knowledge. However, when you go to the court, there is some information that you cannot see. I have looked up cases. I have pulled people backgrounds and stuff through the court system. And it does not show you every single detail. It doesn't show you the statements that they wrote for court. It doesn't show you all that. Like, it shows you what the charges are, the date, maybe court dates. It might even show you partial address. It doesn't show you all of it. So I was telling her, I was like, well, in this system that y'all have, y'all kind of left people, the public, wide open. So like if I was on Safe House and I had like a pedophile, like a rapist or something that did something to me, he could just type in his case number and get on and see everything and change information, and he might have raped me or did whatever he did to me, and he could write a statement to make it look like I wrote it, that I want to dismiss everything. And guess what? You would have it, and you would say, okay, she wants to dismiss it. We're just going to dismiss it, not knowing that he wrote it. So I was telling the court, that's something that y'all need to get fixed right away. That's crazy. I don't know what they're going to do about that situation. Because like I told them, people are very sneaky. And they're very manipulative. And I know I'm saying that wrong. Conniving. And they're not honest. So anyway, I was telling my girlfriend, she was sitting there and she was talking to me and she was saying that she has same rules that we have. Some of what she has is a little bit more deeper than ours. Like mainly all landlords have no pets. And if you do have a pet, it's a pet deposit. Do you know one of the top 10 violations for landlords are people paying the rent late, pet violation, stayover violation, breach of lease. And when I say that, it's more like holdover is another one, where these people, if they don't have a lease, I don't see why it's legal for them to stay in someone's unit or home or apartment or whatever. If there is no legal contract, in a lot of other states, you just go there, change your lock, and it's it. The contract is over. So I'm like, huh? It's just like when you go to a hotel. When checkout time comes, they take you to checkout, and if you don't bring that key to check out, guess what? That key don't work. You gotta go to the office. And I'm like, Delaware really, really needs to change some of these laws. It's ridiculous. Because a lot of people are taking advantage of it. The thing that gets me is people feel like they can violate the law or the rules when you don't have the authority to. So I had one tenant, there's no pets in our units. I want to make that clear. She had cats, she had dogs. I'm like, what are you doing? There's no smoking because the walls are white. So as you know, when you smoke and the walls are white, it stains the walls. She would smoke. We have a drug-free policy because I do a lot of events for children on the other side of the other properties. And we just don't want no drug dealers and all that running around. And the neighborhood is known for that back in the past and still is. And there's people trying to clean the neighborhood up because there's kids. And behold, there they are buying drugs. And I'm like, what is wrong with people? How can you say you're homeless and somebody give you a place to stay, and then you turn around and you break almost every single lease rule? And I'm sitting there and I'm looking and I'm talking to my girlfriend because I'm helping her with hers. And me and her are looking and she's like, the pet violation, broken. Smoking violation, broken. Drug violation, broken. Vehicles untagged, unregistered, broken. Damage in the unit, broken. Finance, broken. Rent late, broken. So we're sitting there and we're like, broken. Look at all these rules that you broke. And then a lot of tenants get mad when they find out that their lease is not being renewed. You can't get mad if your lease is not being renewed when you're the one that broke the rules, especially if you had the opportunity. So we have this thing that I try to get a lot of landlords to look at. You have 12 months out of the year that a tenant pays rent, or supposedly. So we all know that there's kids that get sick, you might lose your job, or you're out of work, or your job closed down. There's a million of things that can happen. Death in the family, you get sick. So we know that there's a possibility you're going to be late. But my thing is, you should not be late more than 25% of your term. So being late in January, and then something happens in April and you're late again, and then, I don't know, September something happened, you're late again. Okay, I can see that. You pay your late fee, you go on about your business. But when you're late January, February, wait a minute, let me see how this works. For Keisha's rental unit, it was January, February, March, April, May. Then they were on time. Nope, I'm wrong. Forgive me. Keisha, forgive me, girl. They were late. They started in June, because all of us started in June. We did it together as a team. So June, they didn't pay the rent. Our program was paying it. So the rent was already late. They were able to move in on good faith while the program paid. So June rent was late. July, they were supposed to pay late. August, late. September, late. October, late. November, late. December, late. January, late. February, late. March, they get their taxes. They might pay March and April. May, late. June, they find out that their lease is coming to an end and the landlord has not changed their mind to renew, and now they're panicked. So the first thing these tenants usually do is they'll say, well, I'm not leaving. I don't have nowhere to go. I'm not leaving. And I'm looking like the court needs to say, okay, but you haven't been paying your bills. Some of you have not paid it. I think with Keisha, you gotta inbox me if I'm wrong. Keisha said that her tenant has not paid for 2 months and she's waiting on court. Why? They don't even have a lease. Why? So I guess that's my thing with Delaware landlord tenant law. They need to really look into that, because if these people are not paying their rent, why should they have to stay? Why should they be allowed to? I think landlords should be able to just go change the lock if there is no lease. If the lease is done, it's over, it's inactive. Now, this is where I'm with the tenant a little bit. You've been paying your rent, everything, you're doing great. Well, I'm with them 100%. You're paying your rent, no issues, no violations, no write-ups, no nothing. And your landlord says, hey, you know what? I'm moving back in my house. I'm going to give you 30-day notice, you got to go. No. I wouldn't leave. I would stay. I would like, hey, I need a little bit more time. I need my full 60 days notice. Then I'll leave. Then I will leave, because then after 60-day notice, you're supposed to leave. So I'm with them on that. But if you've been violating, not cutting your grass, a lot of the units that I interact with, they have a grass. You know how many people want a yard? I mean a yard. Just to be apartment. When you live in an apartment, you don't have your own yard. A lot of you don't even have your own parking. And if you do, it's only for 1 or 2 cars. And somebody usually is in your parking spot when you come home and you're tired and it's late. And you be like, yo, that's my parking spot. It's like a constantly battle of something. The kids have to play at the playground. There's tons of people. You want to cook out. The cookout area is for you and everybody else. Y'all got to share that. It's nice to have your own yard. Now, some of the apartments that, like, I went to an apartment behind where Kohl's is in Dover. It's Kohl's, Walgreens. There's a carpet base, I think, there. Well, the unit's there for a 2-bedroom, the guy was telling me. he pays $995. I said, for a 2-bedroom? Well, how many utilities included? He said, none. I said, where's your parking spot? He said, we got one right there. I said, what if you got 2 cars? He said, you only got one. I said, oh, well, when you want to do parties and get together, he said, I had to go in the back and we all share. I said, oh, so if somebody else is there already, you got to wait your turn, or, you just don't do it. I'm like, oh, wow. I was like, so what is your dreams or hopes? He said, I tell my wife, me and her need to find somewhere where, it's more space. We can do more with the family. Then I went to another apartment, and it's by Walmart in Camden, the new ones that they built. And the guy was saying they start off, he said, $1,400 to $1,800. No yard. I think you have 1 or 2 parking spots. Everything is sheer on outside. To the best of my knowledge, there is no playground yet. And there's no elevators. So if you're on the 2nd, 3rd floor, you got to walk up the stairs. And I'm like, whoa. So apartments are extremely high. They're very expensive. And then I see people that are looking for apartments, and they were like, or not apartments, any place they want to live. And they were like, oh, I want a 2-bedroom, but I only want to pay $600 a month. If you find those in Delaware, they're rare, jump on them, because I don't know where they are. And the question is how good condition they are. So, that's my thing right now when it comes to the landlord-tenant thing. You got good tenants, you got not so great tenants, and you got horrible ones. Just like landlords, you got good landlords, then you got the horrible ones, and then you got some that just do enough to make it through. For me, I think I've never lived in an apartment, and I've never lived anywhere where I had to do maintain or anything like that. Like I had to do work to live there. So, because when I was 18, I bought my first home, and it was in a mobile home park, and I owned the trailer, but I just had to pay lot rent. And we were responsible for our trash, our water, our sewer bill, our lecture, our phone, our cable, and cutting our yard. And if your yard wasn't cut or your grass wasn't, the landlord would come, and I think at the time it was like $50 for them to cut it. Our late fees were like $30, I want to say, and at the time lot rent was $259, and this was in like 2000. It was like $259, but if you paid it on the first, you got a $30 discount because that's how much it was, and that made it $229. And then after that, it went up like a year or two later to $289, and then you got the $30 discount still, but you had to pay it on the day that your rent was due. It's called on time. Sometimes she would still give it to you as long as you paid within the 5-day window. Then I think before I left from there in 2006, lot rent was like $319. So I had been there for like 6 years, and in 6 years it had went up whatever. But I just remember the only issue that I had in the trailer park was when my lawnmower had broke, and my house, the roof was leaking, so like all the stuff and a couple of rooms got damaged. I had to throw everything away, and the trash company would only take so much a day or so much a week, and I had it on the back end of the house, and I got in trouble for it, and I had to get it moved right away. But it was my responsibility, and I knew it was, because she showed me in the lease where it said you couldn't, even if it was trash, and you couldn't leave it back there and put little one little out. So I had to pay someone to take it all and move it. And then with my lawnmower, I just went out and bought a rodder. At the time, I paid payments on it and bought a rodder lawnmower at Lowe's, and I got that. And I was cutting my grass, and I would cut the neighbor's grass, and I would cut little people's yards, and I would make a little side hustle to pay my lot rent. But it was like I had no problem finding ways to pay my bills. Now there's so much you could do. to pay your bills. Like, you could DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats. What else is it? I don't even know. Flex or something. There's like 10 or 15 little gigs that you could do on the side to make extra money. And some of them, I think, pay you per day to be able to pay your bills. So you're not late. Watch what you spend, how you spend. So we had one tenant. She was upset that her lease wasn't in. And I said to her, I said, well, why was you late all the time? I said, out of 12 months, you were late 10 months. I was like, you don't think she should have a problem with that? I was like, but yet you were door dashing, not door dashing like doing it to make money. You were door dashing to eat food. Like, instead of cooking at home to save money and getting the pots and pans out, you will order food and door dash it. And we all know on DoorDash, when you DoorDash food, it costs way more money. They charge you like 1.5 of the price. So if nuggets were $3, it might be on the app for $4.50. So why would you do that? Then Christmas come. Oh, it's my child's first Christmas in our home. Okay, you just moved in. Happy, excited. There's programs out here to help you during Christmas time. You got Angel Tree. You got Drop Toys for Tots. You got Salvation Army. You got Adopt a Family. They help you for Christmas. And you got little places that advertise on Facebook where they're giving away gifts and toys for kids for Christmas. Why would you go out here and take all your rent money to satisfy your boyfriend and your child when you got rent to pay? And then say, oh, because of Christmas I blew all my money, I can't pay this month, but I'll catch up because tax time is coming. That was one of the things I heard a lot. And sadly but true, a lot of people did. When tax time came, they were paying $3,000 to $4,000 for rent because they were behind that many months. Sad, ain't it? So they didn't even have the money to be able to put up because they had spent up money crazily and they didn't have it. Another thing that we see a lot of tenants do, wintertime, I do this a lot. I'll tell people to send a letter to all the tenants telling them to get gas. You need heat in the wintertime. Temperatures drop to 0, water pipes freeze, everything. Tenants will not get gas, will not sign up for the program to get gas. Behold, what happens? The pipes and stuff freeze. The pipes and stuff freeze, and when their pipes and stuff freeze, now they're calling the landlord because their pipes are frozen and it's their fault, and they need them unfroze because now they can't take a bath, they can't wash clothes, they can't do anything. And they expect for that landlord, and I think the code is, sadly but true, I believe, somebody tell me if I'm wrong, the landlord has to go unfreeze those pipes for them because water is an essential need. Even though they didn't create the problem, they had to fix the problem that the tenant does. Another thing is a lot of tenants will put food in the sink. It's not a disposal. So why will you pour food? Okay, you burnt up your oodles and noodles. Now you pour your oodles and noodles in the sink. Uh-oh. Because all the burnt up tar and all that, the food has got stuck in the pipes real thick. And now the pipes are, stuck. And now you need to call the landlord because you can't get the water to go down. It's not draining. So now you can't use your kitchen sink and you're upset. Guess what? The landlord has to come out, fix that problem. Now, landlords do have the right to charge you for it. That's what your security deposit is for. It's for damages. So therefore, yes, they can say, hey, we had to fix this. It came out of your security deposit money. Let me see. What else do people do? Oh my goodness. All right, they won't cut the grass. So if you live in Delaware, we have city limits and county limits. This is where a lot of police officers will tell you stuff that ain't true. So I had a police officer say, well, it's not against the law not to cut your grass. I said, so who? So I had to school him. I pulled out the internet. I set it down. I said, right here, according to the code by Kent County, it is against the law. And as you can see, it says right here, the landlord is the one that gets fined, not the tenant, the landlord. So he was like, oh, I just bought a house and ain't nobody gonna tell me when to cut the grass. That's your business. But I'm telling you, it's against the law to have grass over 12 inches in Delaware. You must get it cut, and if you don't, I think the county sends someone out to cut it, and usually that person charges about $200. The other thing is people have a car that's broken down or is not tagged, not registered, and you'll see them riding around with that little sign in the back of the window, this brown cardboard box, talking about tags stolen, here's the license plate. If the tag is stolen, understand this, then that tag has been registered through DMV and is no longer active. It's reported stolen. So that tag number is invalid. Finished. Finito. The person that owns the vehicle has to go to DMV and get a new tag. Now, sometimes it requires you to run it through inspection. So a lot of people put tag stolen in a cardboard box on their paper because the vehicles are not from Delaware. A lot of people go out of state and get vehicles that are already tagged and stuff. And the vehicles they're not from Delaware. They're from another state. And they don't have it transfer over. So if you live in Delaware and you buy a vehicle out of state, technically you're supposed to transfer it over to Delaware. People don't do that. My tag is good in Maryland for another year, and I want to transfer it to Delaware. I'm gonna lose the tag that's from Maryland. Yes, you have to pay another one. So they don't do that. But if your vehicle is in the yard and it does not have a Delaware tag, and it does have a tag that's in date from another state, according to the tenant law or the county, you are out of code. And they send around these people, they're inspection people, and the inspection person puts a little sticker on there that tells you to even get a tag in a certain amount of days, or it will be towed and the landlord could be facing fines. I had a police officer contact me about 2 weeks ago, I want to say. And he goes, are y'all towing your tenants' vehicles that are not tagged? I said, no, we're not towing them. When the county comes through and they say that they got to be moved, we're authorizing for them to come onto the property to tow them on their own behalf. You can't do that. You're a police officer. Know your place. Know your place. Know your lane. Yes, I can do that because I am not paying no fines. And don't suggest any landlord to pay fines for violations due to their tenants. I would not do it. Let the county or whatever do whatever they want to do as long as it doesn't affect you. Them towing your tenant's car is not your business. Because if you get fined, it goes on your record for your property for how life, I think. I don't know. Because they say open and closed claims cases. No. Don't put yourself in that predicament. Don't make it where you have to pay fines for your tenants. No. A lot of times we'll catch the violations before the county does. And what we'll do is we'll tell the tenants, hey, you know, your car tag is expired. You might want to go ahead and get that fixed, sweetheart. And they'll say, oh, I'm going to get it fixed, or I'm going to do it next week. Well, we have one tenant. It was like 6 months, I want to say. Almost 6 months. Didn't get the tag, didn't do anything until the county people started coming through. And then they told us and was like, nope, that car's free to go, honey. And she's standing out the door looking with her eyes. And the first thing she do is she calls the police. Oh, my landlord's going to have my car towed. No. So I had to tell the police who to contact, and he found out that I was correct. And he told her, he had to call her back, and he told her, he said, ma'am, if you don't get your car tagged, yes, it will be towed. Come on, y'all. What you don't know is when the landlords own these properties, they're responsible for the fees and fines that the county and them assess on them. So therefore, they have to make sure they do whatever they need to do to stop the fines. Like, come on, they can't be getting these fines. They just can't. So if you have any questions, ask me. I will answer them. This session is more for people that are like, well, Regina, I see that you're working with private landlords. I hear that they are taking listening to a lot of things that you say. I am big on compromising, but not at the landlord's expense or owners. And I tell people this all the time, because if you know that the unit is non-smoking, don't go in there smoking. You can't even come to my house smoking. Hey, don't you see that sign on that door? It says no smoking. Cut that. So, it's like some places you go, they have the signs on the door that says no smoking. To me, to put those on houses or rental properties, I don't like it. It takes away from the door. I don't know. I don't like it. I just think that's not what I would like to do. Now, if they're on oxygen tanks, then I would put one on there. A lot of places where people are on tanks, they do put it on there. But don't do it. There's no pets. Don't bring pets in when you know there's not. And don't be sneaky with it. Because you always got a nosy neighbor next door or down the street, somebody you beefing with, that's going to tell your landlord everything. Then the other thing is, if you want to get high, you want to smoke crack, smoke weed, whatever, do it. I don't know where they do it at. Do it at the crack house. Don't do it at a place that you're renting, because once it is known that you do it, it will be used against you. Because marijuana is still illegal to buy for just to be smoking to smoking. It's legal in Delaware for you if you have illness and you have a marijuana card. You don't have that card, you can't be buying drugs. And you don't buy the drugs off the street. You buy them at the CBD store or something. See, I don't buy it, so I don't know the whole thing. It's just the little things. Pay your rent on time. If you're going to be late, contact your landlord. Hey, this is Sarah. I'm going to be a week late. I don't get paid until blah, blah, blah. Let them know. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to waive the fees. I'm not even saying they're going to be cool with it. But if you're not a person that's late all the time, most of them drop down little notes, because that's what I tell the girls to do for me. I say, when they say they're going to be late, drop down a note. Write down why they claim they're going to be late. Then you could go back and say, oh, this is what they said, this is what they said. Okay? But don't come up with an excuse every month. Oh, my grandmom died. Oh, I had COVID. Okay, we know COVID's out here. Oh, my uncle died. Oh, my boyfriend's mom died, which is my grandmom. Oh, my daughter had COVID. Oh, my car got stolen. Oh, I lost my job. I'm switching jobs. Oh, the program's going to pay for my rent. You know what? I just didn't have the money because it was the holiday. I spent it. Oh, I had to go do this. I had to go do that. Now, landlords are not going to be willing to hear the excuses every single day. They're not. Every month, no, it's not going to fly. What I'm going to tell you they're going to do is, when it's almost time to renew, you're going to be sitting there waiting for your renewal paper, and you're going to get a letter that states that your renewal has been jeopardized because, and it's going to tell you all the reasons why. And at the moment, they're not able to renew your contract. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, I'll just get it together. And then in a couple of months, I'll be back in there. Now, if they send you that letter, they're telling you that your lease ends on this day. They have not decided to renew your lease. And therefore, they're letting you know that, yes, they're ending your lease. And then usually, you'll want to be in late again, because that's what they do. And you'll give it late, and they're going to send you a letter similar to the first one to let you know, once again, your lease is not being renewed. This is your last day as a tenant with us. And they're going to keep sending them to you until it's almost time for you to get out. And they give you that final notice letting you know that your time is wound down. Then you're going to play hardball. And this is what a lot of them do. And say, I'm not leaving. Well, let me tell you about not leaving. The landlord can ask for damages. Meaning they can ask for, I think, double the rent. And they can be rewarded for that. So they can ask for damages. They can go to court and say, hey, it damaged me. It affected me. I couldn't move in a new tenant. I couldn't raise my... Well, you can raise your rent. So a landlord has the right to raise the rent, but they have to give you 60-day notice. So say I wanted to raise my rent from $1,000 to $1,100. And it was May the 1st. If I give you that letter on May the 1st, by July the 1st, your new rent is $1,100 a month. And it's legal. So a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, they just got to give you 60-day notice. Now, you can say, no, I don't want to pay $1,100. And they can say, fine, you need to move out. Or if they were me, I would tell them, your rent is now increasing to $1,100. If you are not willing to accept this or agree with this, please accept this letter also as your 60-day notice that we are terminating the lease. Then you didn't cut all and hit all the dots. So if a lot of private landlords or whatever, you're starting out, you're renting your house, you're moving, whatever, and you're renting out something, I'll tell you all the stuff that I know, because knowledge is power. Now, I'm going to take it down. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a paralegal. I'm not any of those things. So everything that I say, please double check it. Don't take my word for it. Do your own homework. Ask some questions. Read. Do it all. Because even me, some days could be wrong. But usually if I'm wrong, it's somebody let me know and I'll come back and correct it quick. I'll be like, yo, guess what I found out? But if I'm not, I'll tell you how to find out or who to ask to see if I'm correct. Okay? Alright, y'all. It's been good. I'm out of here. Y'all take it easy.